Hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
Yes. Hello, everybody. It's Moo Mammo. I'm your disembodied pal, Troy, and I'm looking in chat and I'm wondering, can you hear me?
Did we perhaps startle everybody?
I know. They're like, what? Early?
I walked away to get a drink.
Doo-doo. Excellent. Thank you, Devious. King Snarf. Contrary to popular belief, this is not an episode about Carrot Top. Raymond Stegman's here. Squire, good to see you, friend. I feel like I haven't seen you for a minute. Tempo's here as well. It's the whole gang. And today we're talking about handouts and props. Quiet, Raymond Stegman.
Those things that make the game master's life both easier and more difficult.
That's right. Yeah. You know, because it is Moo Mammo. Thank you, Mastermind of Pook. The weekly program all about the world's only superhero TTRPG. Hosted by these two fine fellas. 1 second while I click right on your faces. Hello.
Oh, my face.
Hello. Don't click on this. Yeah.
It is Moo Mammo, and today we're talking about handouts and props.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and so, Alex, you strike me as a props kind of guy, or a handouts kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
I am spiritually a props and handouts kind of guy, but my punctuality often bumps up against my ambition.
I
And
get it.
We wind up with what we wind up with.
Now, Steve, when you're GMing, do you like a lot of, or even playing, do you like to get a lot of handouts, a lot of support documents, or?
Yeah, I mean, I like having references handy, like the reference cards in our Game Master's kit and things like that are super useful.
Yeah.
My only issue with handouts, apart from my lack of ambition in producing them, is that they can sometimes slow things down rather than speed things up. And you have to be careful in terms of handing the players a long typed document and say, hey, you find this, and then they spend the next 30 minutes either having someone read it out loud or passing it around the table so everybody can read it individually, and you just are like, okay, I'm regretting that now.
Yeah, it can be a real pace killer.
Yeah. You have to watch out for that. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. Okay. When we're talking about is the real idea, oh gosh, forgive me, I have neglected to mention that this was brought to us by a person that mentioned this during our planning session, but I was logged out of all of my Googles
Right.
for some reason. So
King Snarf, this is not, in fact, the episode for GMs who want to smash watermelons with sledgehammers. If your players are sitting in the splash zone of your table, then you've got some other problems.
You really do. Yeah, absolutely. Let me
Squish.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Alex, when you're putting together, what is your drive for creating a handout or something? Like what is it that calls you to do such a thing?
So I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I believe that most handouts and props fall under one of two categories. They're either something that you have created that is a quality of life document, something that makes it easier to play the game, to reference the rules, to inform the players about all the fun and wondrous things that they can do, or it's something you put together to help build immersion at the table. So things like you find this thing and it's a journal entry, or you you find this thing and it's a puzzle box, or even as simple as having a little 5x7 picture of whatever NPC is talking that you can hold up while you're talking as them.
Yep.
And lots of different options for lots of different reasons. It'll depend for your players and your table and your situation.
Yeah, indeed.
Got
I think
it.
that's a good categorization.
And so when, by your measure, when have you gone too far? Like when is it? When have you, like, if you've got a case or a trunk that you're dragging in the house and it's got a bunch of
Yeah, if you have to bring a wagon to your game, that's probably a bit. I mean, it depends. Really, it depends. If
Mhm.
if your table's a big miniatures group, you might have a whole wagon of stuff that you're bringing with you to play.
Yeah,
right, and snacks. You might have a snack wagon.
yeah, yeah. And I don't really consider maps and minis props per se. Although I suppose they could be considered that. But I think that's a whole another show unto itself
Right.
for people
Yeah.
who are using minis and terrain and all of that
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, we don't really touch on that. I don't think we have in the time that we've.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
whole nother thing.
Oh, by
I
the
brought
way,
a bunch of minis to Gen Con this year. That was a
Mm.
mistake.
they were so cool though. I really enjoyed
They
them.
were so cool. It was really annoying dragging them around
Yeah.
in their
Yeah.
little case.
Yeah. The case was
Um,
cool. The case was even cool too. You had it sort of looked like you were going to pull out like a baked good, but to my delight, because it looks like a hot thing, like
yeah,
a
and it did have cookie trays in it where
yeah,
the minis were magnetized to it. Yeah,
El
it's out in the
Bernard.
garage. I have it.
Hmm.
Speaking of props, we often talk about physical hero points, and you do that
Yeah,
with the
Mhm.
poker chips. And
yeah,
I'm
indeed.
reminded that I
Yeah.
stole Bernard's at the table at Gen Con. Just kind of swept them right up into my pile, accidentally, Bernard. But
Yes, Bernard, I did bring a wagon of minis to Gen Con, but that was a silly idea on my part. I
Mhm.
liked having them. I did not like dealing with them.
yeah, and there's
Yes.
always a little bit of travel involved, and 4 or 5 stops before
Mhm.
you get to where you're going, and that kind of a thing. But by
Yeah,
and large,
I did save myself a little bit of heartbreak by not bringing terrain, so that I could just put the minis on the
Yes.
table, and then there was sort of a mix between minis and theater of the mind.
got it. Yeah, and by and large, so we are talking about folks who are kind of doing a home game, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
let's
And
see.
I think that Alex can point out that there's differences in the kind of handouts and props you're going to want to prepare for a convention game or a demo game versus
Oh
your home
yeah,
game.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
because
I'm
go ahead.
for games that are with people who haven't played before, or people who you don't know very well. Having a big reference sheet with a bunch of how the rules work and everything is very handy, especially if you're first introducing the system to people.
Hmm.
And what's nice about having it as a handout is they don't have to sit there and listen to you explain every single option, and they can engage with the game at their level of interest. So if they want to learn more about the minutia and the mechanics of it, they have that document that they can read quietly to themselves while other stuff is going on. But if they're not invested in, like, I just want to punch every turn, like that's the one combat action I'm
Hmm.
going to take, I'm going to cast punch.
Right.
They don't need to worry about it. They can set it aside, and it's not taking up time or space.
Well, now I'm with King Snarf on this, and that's that
Hmm.
all NPCs should be represented by hand puppets, and I think that is a lost art, especially the as he would
Right.
suggest, an old sock or that paper sandwich, that little lunch bag.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, unless you just don't care about your players, then I
Right.
understand.
You're
Yeah.
just phoning it in. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Don't kill my characters. Here,
Verisimilitude.
see your
That's the
friends.
one word we care about.
Verisimilitude, exactly. Yeah, that's right. It is a little
Yeah.
difficult to keep everybody in focus when you are trying to show off the new villain as a
Mhm.
as
lunch
a
bag.
puppet. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
yeah,
I will say, even for games that you're playing with people you play regularly with, having rules reference easily accessible is helpful.
It is.
Especially, I think, I don't know when this started happening, but there is a habit I've found where the game master tends to be the only person who owns the rule books. So when everybody shows up to play, they don't have access to the rules, and if they need to look up something real quick, it's handy to have a
Hmm.
document on the table instead of having to hand them a book and be like, "Look this up. I'm busy."
Yep.
right. Now let's talk about props. Like, so we
Hmm.
talked about the game aids and sort of handouts and things, but have you played with a lot of props?
I've done a
Define a
few.
lot.
Well, yeah, I guess that's the question.
Yeah, I'm
I
not sure. I
If
mean,
I'm going to bring a prop, the adventure is probably going to have at least a section that is dedicated to that prop.
Hmm.
yeah,
Um, the adventure that we published last, the Jordan mystery, has a prop It's not in the module because we can't build a puzzle box for everybody and send it to everybody.
Right.
If
But
only.
when I ran it the first time, my wife made a wooden box that had knobs on it with different symbols that represented the locks. There was a riddle to open the box, and then inside the box there were little mini puzzles and mini games that they had to play to unlock all the clues of the box. So it became a set piece moment for the game, which I think if you're going to use an elaborate prop like that, it really needs to have something that is focal to that moment to justify the effort you have to put into doing all that.
Yeah, agreed.
Got you. Now I have a question for Chat. Chat, describe to me when you've encountered or have utilized a prop in your gameplay. I'm really curious because I could definitely see a puzzle. I could see, but I bet there's a whole host of bizarre things that people are doing that could be really fun to borrow or
Yeah,
something.
and I mean, there's a few M&M props I've done that are less effort than that. I've done like newspapers for stories,
Ooh,
Sure.
sure.
or crime scene photos, things that are tangible that people can look at and then make a real life investigation check on instead of having to roll dice for it.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the idea too of there being like a missive or something that gets slid over to somebody, and
Yep.
they, as a short
I-
little something that they can do with whatever they want, or
I-
maybe it tells them to shush or whatever.
I have done more than my share of wax sealed envelopes
Ooh, fun.
for game props.
That is fun. Now, when you prepare props, do you engage with the folks before they're playing to let them know that it was happening, or you just kind of plop the prop, or what, as they say in the gaming circles.
Right.
Yeah.
I am an eternal believer in under promise to overachieve. So not setting up expectations for something, you don't want to say like,
Oh,
We lose Alex for a second there.
yeah. I think he's frozen solid. I like King Snarf's stuff here that says use props to entice your players to get into character. That's really interesting. By
Yeah.
I mean cash, and by entice I mean bribe.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So you're just hiring actors at that point, which is nice.
I do find that with props, it's better to surprise the players with them and make them like a fun, like, oh, look, there's a prop.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Rather than having it be something that they're expecting.
That's my vibe on it too, Steve, is that I would want to surprise, but I wasn't sure how that might not play out. Alex is just still frozen.
Poor Alex. We have to unfreeze him.
I know. I bumped him off just so that he could. There he goes. Okay, he'll be back here in a second.
Yeah.
I did. Oh, this is great. So, Apook shares this great website called Break Your Own News that has fillable template that makes a TV news headline. That's great.
Very cool.
That is very cool, and that's here at breakyourownnews.com. How fun!
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, along those lines, I've done prop newspapers and articles and things like that. And even on occasion, we've done like short sound clips and things like that for like
Yeah.
radio news. Like it's fun to, if there's a crime in progress or a disaster happening or something like that, to play a clip of like what comes over the radio or
Yeah.
the TV for the players to hear and sort of jump into action. That can be fun.
This is just funny, Desmond. That cracked me up. He's so good to be dead. But I was going to say, I'm playing in a game right now. Devious is the GM or the DM, and the GM, and he played a little snippet of it, like a radio broadcast. It was so fun, and it really was a fun, immersive. It kind of got you in the mood for some role, which is really great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. I'm looking at the chat. Help with the big group because some people got. Oh, I
Paul,
see.
Paul, I agree that things on paper tend to be handouts, broadly speaking. But to me, props are things that mimic real things. So, like a fake newspaper clipping is both a prop and a handout to a certain
Yeah.
degree. But yeah, handouts are usually for reference.
Right, and a handout feels like it goes to everyone, and a prop might not.
Yeah, sometimes.
Let's see. Oh yeah, GM Jonesy. You are the recipient of the hero point today because this was your
Yeah,
show topic. So
yeah.
congratulations.
Well, and as Jonesy brings up, virtual tabletop opens up a whole different range of sort of props and effects that you can work with. You can do handouts in the sense that you can present files or documents or show images or screen share
Oh yeah,
with
yeah.
your
Overhear.
players on the
You could
virtual
overhear.
tabletop.
Absolutely, you could overhear a conversation, maybe.
Hmm.
All kinds of fun stuff.
Yep.
Let's
I
see.
found one of my friends who did virtual tabletop games would have some reference information on the sort of background image um,
Oh,
that we would have up for the game that would be basically showing in the cases where we weren't like on an active map or something like that. And that provided some just ready reference that was there for us because it was just part of the background.
yeah.
That was kind of a really fun way of doing that.
I'm looking at Tempo mentions X cards, and I think that is. I think it's sort of its own thing. Maybe. I mean,
Hmm.
it feel like it's not quite a prop for storytelling. It's not. It's a handout, sure, for some game like kind of support of a
Yeah,
fundamental game
I mean,
system.
they're props in the sense that they're things like hero point tokens
Yeah.
and other sorts of game pieces that you would use. So I do think something like an X card can be considered a prop in that it's a physical thing that sits on the table
Yeah. Yeah.
that people will use in that regard.
I summon the spirit of Alex Thomas. Hi, buddy.
He's unfrozen! Hooray!
I made it.
Hooray! You're back. We were just talking about X cards and kind of where they fall in the category of prop
Mhm.
and
Oh yeah.
handout. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think a safety tool is more of a requirement for a game than a fun optional
sure.
That's kind of what
addition.
I was feeling like. Maybe it falls into a category of its own that it's not really a
Yeah,
prop to facilitate role play, but it is. But it's like a handout. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
yeah, that does make sense. Um,
I
Look,
agree.
oh, this is cute. I like this idea. Paul's talking about a GM doing a newspaper thing as a way of
Hmm.
recapping the last game. That's super fun.
Yep, I used to do
Oh,
that
neat.
too.
Yeah, really, really fun.
Yeah.
So, Steve, when you
I
would do
shared one of
that,
those with you, Troy. If you want to share one on screen.
well, why don't I grab it? One moment. Now, Alex, explain it while I pull it up.
Well, this is
It's
a newspaper article from the Titan City Chronicle.
I am where
There was a massacre.
Right.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
The it's
7.
interesting hiding potential plot hooks in things like that because you never know what's going to catch the player's attention
Oh,
as far as that goes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I used when I use newspapers, I usually use them as part recap, part adventure hooks. If you're nosy and you're looking in the right spot.
Yeah.
is that what we're talking about?
Nope. That is not it.
Let me get- oh, there we go. And what does it look like? I've got
It's the brown one. It's a separate message from 144.
separate message. Okay.
Still in the Slack chat between you, me, and Steve.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'll have to. It looks like I might have to down. It's a separate. It wasn't in that batch of
It
7 that I
wasn't
did.
in that batch of handouts. No.
Aha. Okay. Well, then let me get rid of this.
it was one, two,
That
three
that is the
messages later.
classic. That is the classic note/diary page handout
Mm-hmm.
for which handwriting fonts were essentially invented.
Yeah.
Right.
And what I do with those is I'll cut them into chunks and give them out over time instead of giving one long piece of paper to
Yep.
the group to read to help
Pro tip:
avoid the everybody talk.
if if you were going to do those, choose a handwriting font that is legible,
Yes.
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 because some of them are very hard to read, and that makes for a really poor handout.
It really does. I'm almost there. Here we go. And ta-da! Cute.
Right?
I'm gonna actually I said, because I need to, there we go. Fish packing plant massacre in Little Moscow.
Yep, that's what happened in the previous adventure for our heroes, which the first column count covers that. Just sort of a recap of, oh, this is what happened, and these are like some of the things that happened. And then there's a plot seed for the next adventure, and the Children of Adam host clam bake, which I made the flyer too, and then shrunk it down to put in the newspaper. And use the flyer as a handout else also.
I love this. And there's a missing cat.
That's guaranteed to be, player bait as far as that goes. They're going to be like, a missing cat.
Yeah, I even named that cat Orpheus to make sure that they were very invested in the cat's well-being.
That's awesome. It looks great. This is, I love the layout. It's super fun.
Yeah, it might not be completely accurate, but it's what I could do in Photoshop, and I was happy with it.
Hey,
did you create the newspaper template yourself, or did you use an existing one?
I created it in Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
I looked up old paper background on Pixabay, which is a copyright-free. It's probably full of AI stuff now, so you probably can't use it anymore. But at the time, in 2018 or whatever, it worked.
I love that. Now, when you for this, I've got someone asking. I think it was Bernard. You just used Photoshop, or you used just kind of a graphics program?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Yeah, Photoshop, GIMP works really well. Affinity, if you're into that.
Affinity is free now.
Subscription.
Yes, indeed.
Affinity is free, which is kind of cool.
And of course, these days, for a lot of things, there's tons of templates for different kinds of projects. So you can usually find something that is along the lines of what you're trying to create.
Yeah, absolutely. It is kind of amazing how many resources there really are. I mean, you could even go back and look at old, government files or government stuff and kind of mimic what they end up what you end up finding there. Super fun.
Yeah.
Did you want to look at another piece?
Yeah, we can look at another immersion handout, sort of the either one of the two from Jordan Out Mystery.
Yeah.
Which let's see, we can go.
Those are the last two, the handwritten and the typed notes.
Typed notes. Sorry, I'm looking at. Is it the one that has the paragraphs? It just.
It looks like it was written on a typewriter.
1 second.
Because of course, typewriter fonts were also created for making
for this very thing, or when there's a kidnapping.
Yeah.
And you've got the cutout letters. There's a font for that too.
There are multiple fonts for that. Yes.
Let's see here.
I have one called Ransom that basically looks like that.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, there was a time that I had a real font collecting problem.
Yeah, it's easy to get into.
It really is. Now, is it this piece?
No.
That's one of them, but I mean, it's got the typewriter one.
Let's just talk about this one because I'm not seeing the typewriter one, but I'll be happy to dig into it while you talk about this.
Yeah. So this, because this one comes from a published adventure, Hal went ahead and made something that looked diegetic, made a dirty paper background, and used the handwriting font. When I do this in person, I tend to actually handwrite them and then stain them with tea or whatever to make them look old.
Ooh, fun.
Or I find somebody who has good handwriting to do that. Speaking of picking a font that is legible.
Right.
Now, talk to me about that, staining it with tea and all that. That sounds like a very clever...
it's a classic trick.
Yeah, it's a good trick for making paper look old. You stain it in tea, bake it in the oven, and then write whatever you want on it.
Very cool.
Or you could write on it first and then stain it. And then if you really want to mess it up, you could tear it, you could punch it up, you can crinkle it up, you can burn it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love it. 1 second. I'm pulling up the typed one, which is very cool looking. The multiple share here is throwing me for a loop. There we go. And is this it?
There you go.
The typed document you've been seeing?
Is this your card?
Yep. This is my card.
Unable to share the screen. You see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've got a weird error. on my screen. So whatever that means, here it is. Very cool. I love this.
Yeah, and this would be one that this is the purpose of this document is to give exposition to the players without me just vomiting all over them to tell them the thing.
Right.
I see.
It's a page, so it doesn't take too long to read as long as you have players who are strong readers, which you can't always take for granted.
It's fair.
Yeah,
but it is.
then walk us through how this comes about and what happens in the process. Like you have the handout, and then you say just read it, and then we kind of read in silence, or how's that managed?
I like to have somebody read it out loud personally, but also leave it on the table so that the people who can't listen to somebody read something out loud, like me, can reference it at their leisure. And it makes it so there's less, oh, I forgot that important thing the GM told me. Please answer this question you've answered before and answer this question again. And it gives them something that they can reference. And
I like how it engages. You have somebody who gets a little moment to have some fun reading it aloud and
it's really good for players who are actors or hams or who love the performance aspect of role playing.
Very cool. Let me see about. So you have some classic handouts in your collection here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Some of the other ones these are what I call the quality of life ones.
Right. Reference
I'll
handouts.
I'll let you pull up whichever one you want to pull up, and then I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is one of the player reference sheets. You could find things like this in our Mutants and Masterminds Game Masters kit. There's laminated placards that have information like this on them. But these are the ones I use for myself. I had to make these ones for the Origin Edition playtests I was doing at Gen Con because we didn't have them yet.
Right.
And they list, this one in particular talks about what you could do with the hero points, how that works, what you can do with extra effort, so you don't have to explain either of those concepts right up front, how a team check works, what the base mechanic of the game is, which is a d20 plus a number, and the higher you roll, the better you do, the lower you roll, the worse you do. And explains degrees of success and how group checks works and things like that. This one I added particularly for 4th edition to let me know and the players know what all of the possible reaction advantages are, because reactions are a new big action type in 4th edition.
Got it. And then this one
saves me space on their character sheets too, where I don't have to necessarily put what every advantage does on the sheet.
Yeah.
Got you. 1 second. And then this one.
These are table tents, which are what you do with these is you fold them in half and you set them up as a little tent. On the front of it is the character's art and some reference numbers for you as the GM. So the player can put that in front of them and they will know what their character's name is and everybody else will know what character they're playing. And I, as the GM, can reference, oh, your dodge is 6. I need a 16 to hit you. Your toughness is 14. You'll roll a d20 plus 14. And then I need to know what your initiative is or your perception is. And then on the back, there's the core mechanic stuff, what you can do with hero points, all that fun stuff.
Really smart. Very, very smart. Definitely helpful because I will forget who's across the table from me every time. Lovely.
Yeah, and it helps with remembering that. It helps with knowing what the character looks like. Usually, if you're doing, and this isn't necessarily something you would use in a home group where everybody knows each other's characters, but if you're playing in a situation where you're playing with a bunch of strangers, it helps you. You can list your pronouns, you can list your name, who you're playing as.
Yep. So speaking of art, I think that setting up things like a Pinterest board or a mood board can be really useful for the game master in terms of putting together inspirational images and pieces of art that you find that work for your just planning your overall game as well as specific adventures and sort of casting different characters and the like. And like Alex says, then you can just print out or if you're on virtual tabletop display, this is what this character looks like. And it can often be more effective than going through a long description.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And people are loving the table tent idea.
Yeah, and I mean, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? You can just lay this down and not have to worry about coming up with the exact perfect narration for what you're trying to get
Yep.
across.
There.
It's,
Go ahead, Alex.
I think especially if you're not using maps or anything like that, it also helps to establish mood and to establish like this is the environment you're moving through, to help think about things like edit the scene, uses of hero point, or how can I help my powers in this environment without necessarily having a gridded map to look at.
One of my favorite little tricks along those lines comes from our own Joe Carricker. And he, for some of his campaigns, will ask his players to pick out 2 or 3 images of basically characters their character would be attracted to.
Oh, nice.
They're like, basically show me your character's type. Essentially, like, here are these. These are characters my character would find attractive, and then Joe can cast them as NPCs. So that when they show up, the player is like, "Oh, this person is meant to be a possible relationship interest," and they don't. There isn't the awkward, because the player knows. The player's like, "Oh, this is someone my character is attracted to." I know
that.
because we set this up in advance, and so but it leaves things in the player's court about whether they want to pursue that. But they know that this character is somebody who is potentially interested because they've set that up.
Super
So
fun.
I thought it was a really clever technique.
Yeah.
For managing that.
I know how Joe and I are different because I would use that to cast villains for their characters.
Well, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's no guarantee of who it's going to be, and that's why it's up to the player to be like, I mean, in some cases I'm absolutely sure the whole thing is intended to be, oh no, they're hot.
Yeah, right. That's right.
It's my favorite complication.
Exactly. This is a great idea too. We have talked about this in the past. The idea of digging up images of street views.
Yes.
Super fun.
Absolutely. And there's just such a wealth of images out there, that you can use for that sort of thing.
Yeah, and Mastermind of Pook brings up not being an artist, that should be able to assemble images on an artboard, just like she was talking about. I think is a really great idea. And it helps, I think, maybe as a precursor to things, say, catch the vibe of this, This is what this is going to look like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do too. That's so funny. Oh no. GM Josie screams, Alex. Do we know why? I'm not sure. What have you done? Okay, so I think it might have been. Trying to think of who was telling me about this. Was it you, Devious? A crystal skull on the table, and that at every turn they turn it to look at another player without saying a word about it. Clever, little bits and pieces. What are some? And this is for you as well, chat. Have you come across some props that you enjoyed or even didn't enjoy? I mean, that there could be some word to the wise in here about maybe
Well, along those lines too, you can swipe ideas from games like 10 Candles. Where if you want to do a horror game, and safety first always, but if you're doing like a spooky game, set candles up on the table, and as things progress, blow them out one by one.
I love that.
As things get darker and scarier, and
yeah, I think that's great. And Tempo also brings up Invisible Sun by Monty Cook Games. Had a lot of props and handouts, usually set to the world building, like restaurant menus and business and leaflets.
Yep, that is very true.
I don't know that we've ever really done that.
We haven't, because unfortunately those kinds of things tend to be expensive.
Yeah.
Likewise, you'll find there are whole businesses like Beetle and Grimm's that are dedicated to producing sort of more of the high end versions of adventures that are full of all kinds of really nicely done props, and the like. But those packages tend to be pretty expensive, both to buy and to produce. And so there's a very limited market.
Yeah, limited market. And sometimes I know that there's I think it's called the Mystery Company.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I bought
Yep.
a mystery for someone that I worked with, and it was so cool. It was very, very interesting, but it was 100%. You could tell it was a handmade endeavor.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
those
cheap.
are very, very bespoke. But the nice thing about some of those things is if you subscribe to something like a mystery box or those other sorts of things, is you can repurpose a lot of them
Oh
Mhm.
yeah,
and reuse stuff for your as props for your other games.
yeah. One person's club is another person's bat.
Hmm.
It's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
that the Beetle Grim stuff is really cool. I have the Curse of Strahd one that comes with an icon of Ravenkind and
Yeah.
Barovian money that's got Strahd on it and invitations. I did buy a wax sealer for a
Hmm.
invitation to Strahd's dinner.
And it's Beetle and Grimm's, you said?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They do stuff primarily for D&D.
Oh,
Yep.
I see. I see. Very cool.
I did go talk to them at Gen Con this year, and they were like, "Well, I don't know about Eminem."
That's a challenge. Yeah.
Hmm. It's
Yeah.
fair.
There's some really
So
neat stuff.
everybody get in the comments and tell them you want Eminem
Yes.
stuff from them.
Yes, exactly.
Grassroots
Pook
movement.
notes that Chaosium has a great history of doing handouts for Call of Cthulhu
Mhm.
and a lot of
Yeah.
their products as well.
You can definitely have a lot of fun with that. Are there any other crafty tips or things that you can think of? I mean, the tea thing is brilliant, and sort of the burning of the edges of the map, and that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
I don't know about crafty things, but I do. I think it lends itself well to Cthulhu. Because I think props are inherently a good tool for investigation stories
Hmm.
because it's a place to put clues that the players can find without necessarily relying on a skill check to find it, and it gives them something tactile to play with. I think
Hmm.
that is. It's harder to do if you're doing a heavy combat story. It might be hard to come up with props that are appropriate unless you want to have a Nerf fight, unlike a Nerf gun fight in the middle of your game or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Uh, I
Go ahead,
do
please.
think that online archives can be a huge source of
Yeah,
props, especially if you're doing any kind of historical gaming. Um, there's tons and tons of scanned manuscripts, catalogs, magazines, stuff from decades and decades ago
yeah,
that you can find, and you can usually grab pages from or print out clip images from all those sorts of things to make handouts from anywhere until the late 1800s all the way up to the
Mhm.
present.
absolutely. A thrift store will have slides and other things that you can
Yep.
find just
Yeah,
ubiquitously. They're all over the place. That's super fun little
I
bit to
guess my
play with.
friends here are also a good prop. My little bears,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
they're life-sized player character, and I can say I'm this bear right now. Put him down and say I'm this bear now. So there's
Good.
because
Yeah,
they
it's
swap back and forth.
fun and yeah, and then also an indicator of is it the good bear or the bad bear?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, we
yeah.
we bring these to the mega event when we do our stuff, so that the person playing this character can hold one and then swap
Hmm.
when they're swapping.
Yeah, we talked about. Did we? I know, Devious, you mentioned this before, but Cthulhu
Hmm.
Architect has an online handout
Mhm.
generator.
Yep.
And are they on Patreon or where do you find them, friend? Oops. Um, Perfect for Titan City says
Hmm.
wonderful.
Same era. So.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of good immersion props when you're setting a story in a different time period. It helps players visualize what they're looking at and how things might be different from what they're expecting.
Right.
what I love is, and I just because I once you go into this, you go down this rabbit hole, you just can't help yourself, and you continue to go down it. But it's the patent library, and
Hmm.
the
Mm.
old
Mhm.
patents are just bizarre looking. Like they
And
just have the weirdest stuff.
terrific fodder for crazy gadgeteers and
Yes.
that sort of thing.
Absolutely, absolutely, and they really go well out of their way to illustrate what it is that they were trying to make, whether or
Yeah.
not it came to fruition. But some fun stuff. What was this? The prop show or the plush merch show? The plush. It was both. A little bit both.
No reason it can't be both.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
well, Eddie and Henry are bespoke. They're by themselves.
Right.
Eddie and I love that. Jonesy, I think are you saying decoder? I need a decoder for
Yeah.
this.
The decoder
That
for
could
the
be
decoder.
that could be a prop. If you
Mhm.
if you write a cipher letter, you can make a decoder as the as one of the props you could share.
I love it. Super, super fun. And yeah, I'm wondering online historical archives. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, are there famous historical archives that you know of or have used in chat or you too as well? Curious about that.
Well, the Library of Congress is a good resource
Oh, certainly.
in that
Wow. Yeah.
For
regard.
now.
Yeah. Yes, at the moment, anyway.
It hasn't. Yeah. Right. Your mileage may vary depending on the day of the week. What about a Mr. Nibbles doll? Says Master Book.
Who's Mr. Nibbles?
I
I don't know, but if Pook wants a doll.
Yeah, yeah. Fun fact: Abraham Lincoln is the only president to have a patent on file at the U.S. Patent Office. Welcome to.
Also, the only one to canonically kill vampires.
Right.
I love it. Welcome to Lincoln Facts. Let's see. I'm trying to imagine because I love props and I love little cues and things, and especially with mutants and masterminds, there could be so much fun stuff like a cursed object or
Mhm.
how would you, when you're looking at doing something and you're really incorporating it into a game, it's not like a puzzle that everyone's putting together, but it's like a cursed object or something. How do you handle that? How would you incorporate that into a game?
Well, it'd have to be something that was easy to make or buy
Mhm.
and would have its own it would have to have some focal point to the story that's going on
Right.
in order for me to want to propify it.
Well, I imagine that it does. All of
Yeah.
those
Like-
are met, but how would you like? What would it be? What would be the
I'm thinking in
introduction?
particular, if I was like over on Superhero Shenanigans, there's the Eye of Chaos. That's an artifact from one of our
Ah.
astonishing adventures.
Mhm.
Mr. Nibbles is the teddy bear with human teeth from my Netherworld campaign that I forgot about.
Why would
Yes.
you want to forget about this horror of
Right. I can see why you might have forgotten about that.
maybe
I now wish I could.
therapist, right?
But yeah, having something and having that tool to sort of pass around as a role playing aid is, I think, is what I would really want that for.
Mhm.
So while
Yeah.
the players are discussing it, they're like, "Here's the thing that we're talking about,"
Sure.
and depending on how crafty you are, if it is a cursed item, maybe it's modular. It can have a tactileness to it that can change when it's being helpful versus when it's being harmful.
Yep.
Or
Gotcha.
things like that.
And
Yeah.
for something like a cursed or trapped item, if you have a prop, you can always basically set the prop out on the table in front of the players and say, okay, your interactions with this prop will tell me what your characters are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words,
interesting.
you won't have to play the game of do you touch it? If one of the players touches it, their character has touched it.
Right.
And so and you can play out basically how do their characters interact with it? How are they looking at it? That kind of thing without having to overplay your hand about what reaction you're looking for.
Right.
You don't have to ask the leading questions of, well, do you look into the lens?
Yeah, exactly.
You
How
know.
close are you to this thing? Yeah.
Right. If you pick up the curse camera, do you look through it? Do you point it at anyone or anything?
Right. Yeah. Did you take a picture? Very specifically, who did you get a picture of? Yeah. That's clever.
You have to be very clear when you put it down, though.
Very clear. Yes.
Like you don't want to do a gotcha just
No.
because they thought your prop was cool.
You have to be very clear up front when you put the prop down that their physical interaction with it mirrors their character's interaction.
Yeah. I like that. I do like that. I do think it is important to remember to remind or to tell your players this is a moment. Like
Always.
Be focused and I could imagine a prop like that really making really bringing everyone to the table, like really kind of
Well,
getting into
it definitely focuses everyone's attention. And similarly, if you have a prop that you've sort of built the adventure around, sometimes you can just put it on the table,
Yeah.
just to keep the players thinking about it.
Yeah.
Just the very fact that the creepy dagger is sitting on a little velvet pillow in the middle of the table, you
Yes, I
know,
love that.
is enough for everybody to be like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
using
creepy.
using an item like that to build pressure, I think, is a really cool idea.
Mhm.
If you
Fun.
have an Infinity Gauntlet and you put whatever stones Thanos currently has in the gauntlet, that's always hanging over the adventure. You leave it on display somewhere.
Right.
They know this is the timeline to our doom.
Just how things are
Right.
progressing.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
You could also see
Yeah.
having some fun with, an oversized or a large, like, sand hourglass, something.
Yes, although it reminds me of there's a similar mechanic in an Expanse adventure that our own Ian Lemke wrote, where you just take a pile of poker chips or other counters, and say, okay, these represent 15 minutes each. And as the characters are progressing along, their efforts, you just take them away one by one, so they can see their
Oh,
time slowly running out. The
wow.
nice thing about that is you have control over that,
Mhm.
whereas things like sand counters are a set amount of time.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah, you can't really
They have a
stop
hard,
it.
yeah, hard to pause.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but watching the pile of counters diminish. I've run that adventure a couple of times, and it really does have an impact on the player's sense of urgency.
Wow,
Yeah,
that
and it's
is
cool because you don't have to interrupt what they're doing to
Right.
notify them that the time is changing.
right. And I do love that you can control what 15 minutes means,
Right.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, really smart. Uh oh yeah, Gene brings up something like the object could have some interaction or, some
Hmm.
way of even
Yeah.
alerting you how close you are to thwarting the villain's plans. Very fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let me double
Now I
check.
want a set of preserver stones as a prop for event.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
not
fun. What would that look like?
well. Just find
Well,
some nice crystals that are in the right shape.
yeah. They're the platonic solids, so really just a nice set of gem dice will work for you.
Right. I was just going to say,
Nice.
finding crystals in the shape of platonic solids is not overly difficult. So,
I like that. GM Jonesy mentions. Sorry, I'm just imagining the GM coming in and handing out an eye patch. Here you go,
right.
necklace for
Yeah,
you.
Why is your
And
character going to need an eye patch? Don't worry about it.
we did that at the mega event this year, actually. Um, because the way the mega event worked, it started with 4 tables that were going to shift around. We gave everybody a prop that signified what table they came from, so they would know where they
that's
were mixing
cute.
from and who had
Mm,
seen what.
Well, that's a real
It wasn't
neat
anything
feature.
elaborate. It was like the cops got a badge and the monsters got monster teeth or hair
Right,
or
right.
ears.
You run through a whole table with a sword, so they know.
Yeah.
Uh,
right.
what if you had a
Right.
defibrillator to cure emotional distress? Thank you, Nate.
Yeah. Is there such a thing?
Yeah,
I
I
wish I
don't
did.
know.
Honestly,
Yeah, I'd buy
Yeah.
it.
that'd be great.
But no, I'm not sure if you're day and date with us right now on the time here, or if you are, 15 minutes out. But I guess we'll find out here in a minute.
Hmm.
Uh, giving players toy guns while playing a heist or crime. That could be fun. Sure. I used to keep a hand of
Yeah.
Vecna on my table during my D&D games. I think
Oh,
that's
sure.
great.
Disembodied hand.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Yeah, I bet
I
people.
I will, of course, state the obvious when it comes to props of weapons, or anything
Yes.
else like that. Is safety first.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Obviously ensure that your props are safe and not dangerous. Be very careful with things that have actual sharp edges, and the like,
Right. Yeah.
or look like real weapons.
Just imagine anything that you put down that is a weapon, someone's going to brandish it. And so,
Yes,
you want to
100%.
be
Yep.
really careful that it's not something
Yes.
that could actually hurt themselves or others. Because while it is possible, I bet it's rare. It's probably more possible that the people around your table are not trained in sword play, so.
Yeah.
Personal props that you can wear means it would verge on cosplay or even LARP. Sure.
Yep. Sure.
Yeah, depending on how elaborate it is, I would say. But even, I mean, you're using some of the tools of those different art forms or different types of games to add to the experience of the game that you're playing.
Yep.
Yeah,
You
and
know, it
people
helps people get into character. You know, you never want the prop or the handout to be distracting from what's going on.
That's
Right.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Watch out for them becoming bits.
Mhm.
Because
Right.
then it starts to, like Alex says, it tends to become more of a distraction than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would imagine if there's any kind of bell to ring or something like that, people will ring the hell out of it. So,
Yeah.
you
and
wanna-
please, for the love of God, if you're going to play a song at the table, play it for 10 seconds and stop it.
Right. And then stop.
don't make people sit around the table for a rendition of "Bye Bye Miss American Pie" or whatever that is.
Speaking forum experience.
Yes.
There will be people who are like, "This is the bit. My character's got a Walkman. This is what's playing," and then they'll play the song and not turn it off for the whole song.
Right.
Like,
No.
stop it.
I like that. This is a
I am
fun
actively dying.
right. Everyone's like, yeah. Okay, this is fun, like a little paper mask on a stick.
That's
So
fun.
yeah, that is fun.
Mhm.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a great tool, especially for people who might have trouble with accents or finding ways to differentiate their NPCs. You can
Mhm.
hold up, like I said, a picture of who's talking.
I like that. Now, I'm with Stan. What happens if you're a living distraction? What do you
There's
do
prescriptions for that.
then? There really are. They really
Yeah.
are. They haven't worked quite yet, but we're still tweaking the dose. Bernard says,
Yeah,
make sure
I guess distract yourself and not everybody else if you can.
Right. As
No.
best you can.
it can be difficult
So,
sometimes.
yes. Now, of course, everyone in chat is song tagging.
They
because
really
Alex
are.
brought up
Yeah.
music.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, even the game I do that's a musical, I sing one verse and then we're done with that song and move on to something else.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, and Nate says it is not me.
Nope.
Nope. He is not a living distraction. So a lot of good advice, a lot of
Mhm.
resources for people to grab some stuff and where they can find it. Really, we've given everybody the recipe to have some fun with it. Any other, Alex, you talk about like not playing the entirety of a song or not having the entire encounter be about singing. What are some other things that you might warn people against?
Um, yeah, just sort of the very root idea of don't make the prop the whole, like, don't base everything that you're going to be doing on one prop.
Mhm.
Don't make it the end all be all of, and don't be surprised if your players are like, that's cool, and then that's all you get out of it. Like,
Right. Yeah. Read
Right.
the room.
Right.
yeah.
There's a certain amount of effort versus payoff when it comes to doing a lot of prop work, and oftentimes it's much more effort than payoff. So you have to watch out for that.
And generally speaking, you can create the most elaborate, wonderful thing, the biggest plan, the most wonderful moment that any player on any planet could ever have in a TTRPG, and your players are going to blow right past it.
Yep.
Yep.
Or they're going to do a different thing, or they're going to foil your plans. So be prepared to drop it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You always have to be prepared to pivot when you're game
Yeah.
mastering because unexpected things will happen. The
Yeah.
other thing where props are concerned is don't let the prop substitute for the character's actual game traits. If you're going to give characters a clue in the form of a prop, don't rely solely on the player's ability to,
Mhm.
to interpret the clue, especially if their character is a skilled investigator. You can still, say, here's the prop. Okay, make an investigation roll for your character.
Yes.
And if you succeed, I'm going to point out things that your character clearly notices.
That's a good point.
Yeah. It could be really easy to fall into the charisma trap of tell me a good argument and then I'll decide if your deception check works.
Right.
Right. Yeah, but then I think, Steve, that's a really fair point that
Mhm.
the prop alone may not jog a thing for the player. It may not
Right.
trigger the moment you were hoping for. And so, yeah, make sure you come prepared to say,
I, related to that, though, the fun thing you can do with props in that regard is if you have prepared notes or reference cards, or better yet, private chat on VTT or things like that, you can also hand the player, here is what your character learns from this. And then it gives them the option of how they share that information.
yeah,
And they can, in character, look at the prop and go, clearly, this vellum is, from the 12th century. And that
yes,
suggests, and have their moment with it, rather than
Mhm.
just, doing what we so often do is, well, I tell the other players what you just said.
I love that. Right. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Jeremiah,
Yeah.
good to see you. Yeah, we love some text props too. Absolutely do.
Yeah. And
Um,
Gene, to be clear, it's not no music. Like I like ambient music. I like background music. I love a good musical
Uh,
joke, but
Alex is
just
Alex is
don't.
a karaoke and theater guy. He loves music.
he
Yeah,
loves, yeah,
just
yeah.
don't play Freebird and make all of us listen to it the whole time and not say
Right.
anything for
Right.
12
That's
minutes.
right. That's so funny.
It's hard enough controlling the pace of the game without some jack off stopping
the
the game in the
Deuce,
middle.
the Deuce, you and me both hating on the Cursed Trap. That's how I get through everything. I'm the personality hire. Jeremiah says, I tend to use text props for giving people an info dump, so no test or an idea of the mindset of
Mhm.
someone in the narrative. Yeah. I try
Yep.
not to use them as a puzzle.
Yeah.
Sure. I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
Well,
anything that you can do to avoid exposition is always helpful.
Right.
yeah, absolutely. Because you just can see people's eyes glaze over around the table as they continue to listen.
Yes. And
All right.
again, speaking of that,
Yeah.
as much exposition as you can get out of the way in advance of the game is even better. If you're prepared, there's definitely something to be said for giving players individual briefings. That's just, hey, here are some things your character knows. And in some cases, that will be obvious. And in other cases, it'll be like, don't worry, you'll know when it comes up.
Mhm.
Right.
you
Yes.
know, and that's, again, one of those instances where the player can be like, oh,
Yes. I love that.
Yeah,
Super fun.
one thing I like to do in that vein is bespoke complications for an adventure.
mm,
Or like
Oh,
it might be related to what's going on, or maybe your character has a cold this adventure, and that's something that your character has to deal with that they
right.
wouldn't normally have to deal with. Um,
Yeah, that can actually be a fun bit.
mhm.
absolutely. Well, gentlemen, we have reached the end of the program. Steve Kenson, what's going on in the Steve Kenson cinematic universe?
So I am in the process of working on all things M&M Fourth Edition. Particularly, right now, I am at work on the Masterminds Manual, which will be our Game Master's book.
Yeah.
Uh, and I have been, fun thing, I was working on sample character names
Cool.
for a bunch of villain archetypes, and I came up with a name for a reality controlling character called Loose Cannon. That's spelled
Ooh.
Canon.
I love that. That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
So I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, that's a good one. We have to make sure
This
we
is
get
what I
some.
do with my day.
That's right. Exactly. You can pay for this. Alex, what's going on in your world?
Well, in about 30 minutes, I'll be doing my office hours. But
Nice.
other than that, I'm working on Valiant art selection for the Valiant Heroes Handbook. I'm almost done with that. Excited to finally have that almost done. And if you're in the Ann Arbor, Michigan area this weekend, I will be running some Mutants and Masterminds games at UConn Friday,
Ooh,
Saturday, and
fun.
Sunday.
Very fun. Friday,
Running.
Saturday,
Right?
Sunday. And do they just sign up if they're do they just sign up if they are going to be in the neighborhood? They just come and find
Yeah,
you? Okay, cool.
yeah. Come find me. I've got 4 seats left for one of my games. So if you want to
Oh,
play Creature Commandos on Friday night,
and who wouldn't?
Right.
it's going to be
Fun.
That's just gonna be me and one player, and they're gonna get the full face of trauma. It's gonna be great.
Right.
Full face of trauma. Fun by anybody's measure. Gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out. We
Pleasure's
are
always.
always a good time. And yeah, I say props to you two for all your good advice, right? All right, we're going to head on now to What's in the Tank. We'll talk to these two guys later, next week, actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll be fun. Talk to you guys later.
See you then.
So now we are going to dive into our What's in the Tank. Now, here's the question for you, friends. What are you doing on Thursday? The reason I ask is because on Thursdays, we do Thursdays most of the time. But then after that, we do what I call Get Tanked with Troy. It is essentially my office hours. We hang out on a Zoom call and we talk about all manner of stuff. It's always a great group of people. We always have really good conversation, and it's fun. And it happens on Thursdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, right after Thursdays, and it goes on for sometimes forever. Why, there's a meeting that started that still hasn't stopped to this very day. But for now, we're going to roll into What's in the Tank with our good friend and buddy and pal and neat dude, Devious.
Hi.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
How goes it?
It goes. I'm a little under the weather, but
Oh no. Sorry.
I'm pushing through it. I'm pushing through. So if I sound a little
Hopefully not Bulgogi oriented.
No. This one's purely viral. No.
Awesome. Well,
I don't know
we're
what
gonna
it is,
run the gamut of things to put your poor body through.
Yeah, well,
from food poisoning to viruses, I guess the plague is next.
Yeah. Indeed.
Delightful.
But you know what's next is telling me what's in the tank, because I want to hear all about it.
Oh, that's what I'm here for. That's right.
That's right.
Oh, all right. Well, first of all, let me go ahead and bring this up. Little theme music there. What's in the Tank, November 9th? I did this yesterday. We've got a number of articles in there, specifically about the psychology of suspense. There's something called the Zeigarnik effect, which means that people fixate or fascinate or remember better things that are unfinished. So if you have an open clue, or like an open moment, an unanswered question, an unresolved action, that's going to hang in their memory and keep them more in suspense than something that's finalized or resolute. And that's not just cliffhangers at the end of a game. It's also unanswered questions that are a mystery that they want to solve. There was also a really good video done by RPG PhD, a phenomenal video person, very, very intellectual, would love his deep dives on things, who talked about the curiosity loop, and that's essentially what the Zeigarnik effect is. But the articles touch on everything from Zeigarnik effect, which is spurring interest, Chekhov's gun, which is basically making sure that things do get paid off, and cliffhangers and the logistics therein.
Fun.
In the A.E.G.I.S files, we've got I wonder if Chris Davies has been around putting things in the tank. I wonder.
Matt Mabray, there's one. Yeah.
Oh, yep. We've got two by Matt Mabray.
Nice. Chris Davies is on fire as per the usual.
As pretty much. Yeah, he's got a really interesting one that I really, really liked. It is Conrad Fusion. He's a PL8 character and he's in prison, but this guy is just kind of a behind the scenes mover and shaker. He's very, very smart, very intellectual, and also would probably serve as a good streetwise kind of way to get information. He's
cool,
but you have to be careful with him.
I like that actor.
Definitely. Oh, I do too. Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, it's great.
But here's the article on the Zeigarnik effect and why that works, different things like that. For the events we have, of course, we have the handouts, props, and play aids. Oh my, going on right now. Alex's office hours are coming up in about 30. City of Destiny is tomorrow, Tuesday. We also have Guardians of Haven. It's Fire Lizards and Forgotten Lairs.
Ooh.
This time around, our heroes find themselves in an uneasy alliance with Lady Lunar's entourage in their next death game.
Oh
The
boy.
premise work together to plumb the depths of an ancient ruin, slay the monsters, and collect the treasure. Oh, and keep everyone alive or everyone dies. Yeah,
I like it.
it'll be fine. We've got, of course, Titan City sequels. We don't have DKMC this week, but they are returning next week. Looking forward to that. We've got, of course, After Thursday on Thursday, Tank with Troy, which you just advertised or talked a little bit about. And
Mhm.
I just put in an article that I have been working on. Actually, one moment, let me save. Dink. Props of Power, enhancing your M&M game with handouts, props, and reference sheets.
Lovely.
Just put that in there. So that's fresh, hot off the presses for you folks. I do hope you enjoy it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for covering all the stuff that's going on in the tank. Friends, you too can get involved with the tank. What is it? Well, it's a community hub. It's a space for you to share your ideas and to engage with other people and have a lot of fun while you're doing it. And all you have to do is go to atomicthinktank.com. If you're not already signed up, get signed up. You just have to answer
Yeah.
3 very simple questions, and then if you pass the test, which you will if you're just looking and answering the question as it is asked, then
As long as you don't beat your keyboard like a monkey when you're filling out the questions,
right, yeah,
you're good.
We've had that.
Oh, yes.
And not only that, but we just have a hustle and bustling group of people who are, maybe you like mutants and masterminds, maybe age is your thing, or maybe you just want to learn a little bit about both systems and all the games that are powered by them. All you have to do, we've got people from the Age Creators Alliance that are creating content. We've got people who are publishing under the Super Powered by M&M license. There are, of course, plenty, all the resources that Devious just mentioned and more are found in the Atomic Think Tank, and you are encouraged to come and check them out and borrow them
A-
to your heart's content.
And it's free. I actually had somebody go, "Oh, well, I don't want to pay that." There's no more than half the content on the Atomic Think Tank is 100% free.
To
There
the
are
point,
literally
it's 98 point,
thousands. But
98.8%. Yeah, is free.
there's literally thousands of stat blocks that are
Yeah.
in all community made,
Yep.
literally hundreds of articles. I've written at least 100 myself over the course of the last couple of years.
Yep.
It's all for free, all free for you to check out. Just got
Now
to get
there
in the
is a
tank.
paid tier, and that is something
Oh,
completely
yes.
different. And it's our Cape and Cow Club, and that's a group of folks who want they're just engaged in doing something a little more, a little different. That
That
doesn't impact any of the stuff, any of the resources that are found there. It is
right.
just a different engagement. We've created a setting. We have regular monthly dev chats where we just we give an insight into what's going
They're
on.
fantastic, and it's for those who want to and can support Green Runner, because that's a fantastic company. They make fantastic products.
Yeah,
It just, if you can, it's a phenomenal addition. I loved working on the Pinewood project
that
with
was fun.
me and Paul, Doc Void, all the gang. It was fantastic. I love the dev chats. I learned so much about the production and behind the scenes, what goes on, when they're putting things together. It's a really great opportunity
But
for you to
wait,
learn a
there's
lot of
more.
stuff.
You
There
also
is.
for $8 a month, and you get your first month for free. And if
Ooh,
you buy it in a year, you get I believe it's I can't remember what the discount is, but there's a discount for going yearly, and people get early looks at new books before they're released. You get to
oh yeah.
participate in play tests of material that some stuff we may not even publish. We're curious as to what folks might think about it. That's where we go. It's a lot
Yeah,
of
and
fun.
we in the Gape and Cow Club were looking at the fourth edition way earlier than it was actually out to the public. It was a fantastic, behind the scenes look at what goes into creating a full fledged edition of a game. It was fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. And now the new project that we're working on, it's pretty fun. It's going to be remarkable, and let me just say, if you are, I don't want to give too much away, but if you are interested in being a trainer, a teacher, a coach, or a helper, this is your era for sure. And I know those people are
Mhm.
out there because I've met them myself. But yeah,
Yep.
so that, my friends, is what's in the tank. We sure appreciate you hanging out. And Devious, thank you so much for sharing all those details as well. I want to remind everybody that next week is on Monday. We're doing, that's the November 17th. I can't believe we're almost through this whole month. It's crazy. We are doing Bronze Age of Comics. So
I
that was just,
I can't believe how soon the next planning episode is. Like, it just seems like we just got through one,
I know. When is it?
and it's like right on the cusp. It's right after isn't it like right after the holidays, sometime mid-January?
Yeah. You know, it is
Wow.
mid-January, January 12th. Nuts.
I
Um,
know.
yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Right. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, absolutely. And
You're right.
also that subject brought to us by Essie Taryn Marine, who brought it up at the last planning
Fantastic.
show. Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
friends, that is that. Thank you all for listening. You're all peachy and super keen. And do me a favor, make sure you're liking and sharing, and send a link to your mom. We haven't heard from her for a while. We want to know how she's doing. So, Devious, there's only one thing left
Yeah.
to do:
What's that?
to say goodbye.
Bye-bye.